So for these next few videos, we're going to be doing some experiments with watercolor. And for our first experiment, we're going to be using watercolors that are in the egg carton. These are liquid watercolors. And we're going to be using sea salt. So just to show you an example, this is what happens to your paper when you use sea salt on it when it's still wet. So let me show you how you do it. You're going to take your paper, of course, put your name on the back of it so we know whose is whose when they're dry. And then you're just going to paint with the watercolor. And the important thing to remember when you are going to be using the sea salt is you want your watercolor paper to be nice and wet. Also, be thinking about colors that mix well together, meaning they're not going to mix together and make a muddy color. So we have color wheels to look at to help you remember, but I'm sure you know what colors look good. So in the camera, hopefully you can see that my watercolor paper is very wet. It should be shiny. And I am going quickly. You can spend a little bit more time, but because you want this to be wet, you can't be too slow moving through this. Liquid watercolors are nice because they're liquid right away when you use them, so you don't have to keep going back and forth to the water because they're already nice and wet and ready for you to use. Okay, so I'm just going to drop some other colors here. Maybe more blue over here. So you can see nice and wet, and the colors are blending together and it looks great. So when you are all done, you're going to take some sea salt, and all you're going to do is sprinkle that on. And you can see already what's happening. The salt is soaking up some of that paint color. And as this dries, you get that interesting texture. So this is using watercolor and sea salt.